All right. So here we go. We're going to talk about flavor today. Okay. So those of you guys watching the replay, which is the majority of you guys, here's what we're going to be talking about. Okay. I got in a conversation with one of my new guys, and it led to, because he was eating kind of like the same shit every day, which for the most part, that's, you're going to find your favorite few things that you eat pretty regularly. Like I eat pretty much ground beef, eggs, shrimp, and ahi pretty much all week long, right? The only time I change it up is like refeed day, pretty much, right? So you're going to find the things that you enjoy. You don't have to eat the exact same shit every single day. It's fucking boring, okay? Now, when it comes to your food, there's a few things that you have to understand here when it comes to your, let me turn my volume up a little bit so I can hear myself a little bit better. So when it comes to your food, okay, the number one thing that you have to understand that you must do, okay, is change your relationship with food. Okay, now what does that mean? Let me break this down for you. Okay, most of you are fat, okay, or were fat. Okay, most of you actually lost a bunch of weight already. Most of you guys look pretty good, right? Or you're on your way, right? So most of you guys were fat before. Okay, so here's fat you. Okay, the reason you have fat you, there's many reasons that you have fat you. Okay, number one, you are an emotional eater. Okay, number two is you have a very intimate relationship with food. This is where you get your happiness, your connection, your relief from your emotional stuff, right? Your relationship with food is very, very, very intimate. And because of that, because you're not getting it from your partner or life, your business, or whatever it is that you're, other areas that you could be doing it from, fucking masturbation if you have to, right? What's happening is your relationship with food is intimate, like literally like you're fucking married to it, right? And then you end up fucking fat, right? So when it comes to you going from the fat one, okay, to the fit one, right, where you actually got abs and you're lean and you're sexy, right? You have to change your relationship with food, right? So one of the things that I always like to try and teach you guys is that your relationship with food has to stop being fucking intimate. Now, what does that mean? That means stop chasing fucking pleasure from food. Okay? Now, not all the time, but for the majority of the time. Now, at the same time, it doesn't mean you need to eat fucking cardboard. Okay? I don't want you eating cardboard, right? I want you to enjoy your food, right? But I don't want you seeking pleasure from it. There's a difference, right? There's a difference between enjoying the healthy food that you eat, right, versus chasing pleasure to help you deal with whatever bullshit you got going on because you're being very emotionally unintelligent and immature and not handling your shit on a responsible, mature way like a fucking adult. Okay? So you got to first off understand your relationship with food has to change. What does it change into? Business. This is business. Business. Food is, repeat after me, food is business. Okay. Now, for those of you guys, a lot of you guys are business owners, right? So in business, you got things known as like KPIs, right? Which is for if you're not a business owner, okay, KPI. Let me break this down for you. Okay. KPI means key performance indicators, right? For example, okay, let me give you a perfect example, right? I know that if I run ads, okay, and I get a certain amount of leads, let's just say there's 1,000 leads, okay, and then out of those 1,000 leads, I book, say, 10 phone calls, right, and my closing percentage and bringing on new clients, right, is say it's terrible. Okay, I'm actually really good, but that's why you're here, right? Because I have the solution to all your problems. You ain't gonna find them anywhere else, right? Now, let's just say average closing percentage for somebody is say 50%, right? So that means 50%, which 50% of those 10 people, right, would be 5 new members, let's say every week, right? So if I run ads, I get 1,000 leads, right? I book 10 phone calls out of that, right? And that leads to 5 new members, right? And have a 50% closing. This is your KPIs. Okay. Key performance indicators. I know if I get 1,000 leads with my closing percentage, right, I'm going to get a minimum of 5 new clients, right? So what do? Pump up the ads, make sure I get 1,000 leads, right? So this isn't actually how I do it, but this is just an example of how you could do it, right? Mine's actually much different than this, but that's basically your KPIs. Now your food, okay? You got to treat your food the exact same way, you guys. Exact same way. Your macros are your KPIs. Okay. Your KPIs. Okay. You know, if you eat a specific amount of protein, a specific amount of fats, and you limit your carbohydrate intake, right? You are going to create the calorie deficit that you want so you can get down, so you can get ripped, so you can get your go here in the center, right? These are your KPIs. And on top of that, right? So your diet has to be on point. So that's one of them, right? So your diet, right? You have to limit those calories every day, right? And then the other thing is the thing that you track is burning your calories, right? So most of you guys are anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calories a day, right? So if you limit your calories, right, to your goal for the, most of the girls are at 1,500 or less. Dudes are at like 2,200-ish on average, right? So if you do those numbers and you do this day after 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 day for month, right? You become this guy, right? When you started with the guy with titties, okay, and a big donut belly button. Okay, so that's basically how it works, right? So food is business, and you have to always be thinking of it like that. It's a fucking numbers game. Okay. It's a numbers game. It's the same thing like with your finances, right? You know how much expenses you have every single month. You know how much your car payment is, your rent, your mortgage, your business expenses, all that. You know how much money you have coming in. You know how much money you have going out, right? You know how much money you're putting off into savings or investments or whatever, or paying in taxes, right? All these numbers. It's a numbers. It's the same shit with your body. It's business. Okay. So you have to switch your mindset from that intimate relationship where you are chasing fucking pleasure from your food to treating it like business. Repeat after me. Food is business. F-I-B. Okay. F-I-B. Food is business. Okay. So understand that. Now, with all that said, I want you to enjoy your stuff. I don't want you eating fucking cardboard like I was saying. Okay, let me figure out where I am at. Okay. So I don't want you eating cardboard, right? So I don't want you eating fucking like George Foreman grilled plain ass chicken breasts, right? All dry, taste like, no, we used to do that a long time ago. Those of you guys have been around for a long time. Like, some of you guys have done that meal prep back in the day where we used to do like 6 meals a day and do the dry ass chicken breast, right? Man, shit sucked. Okay, we don't do that. Right now, you don't need to eat boring stuff. Now, let me teach you some hacks that I do. Okay, that makes your actual food taste better without really adding anything different, without even adding any of the flavoring condiments. I'm gonna teach you in a minute, right? I'm gonna show you how I do it, and it makes it super easy. Okay, so so I typically, what I do is I fast, right? Typically like 16, 20 hours a day every day, and I typically only eat 2 times. Okay, so I usually eat around noon, right? And then I eat again around like 2 or 3. Sometimes I just eat 1 time, right? Sometimes I don't even eat till here, right? So I just have this one big ass meal, right? Now that means each one of my meals is 100 grams of protein, roughly, right? Okay. Because I have to pack in my macros within 2 meals. I'm trying to get like 200 plus grams a day, right? So what I do, okay, now listen what I'm talking about here is my little hack on how I flavor shit. And this is why I don't really usually add stuff because it's already pretty flavorful as it is. And here's the other thing you got to keep in mind too. When you first start this journey of getting in shape, there's a lot of new people in here, okay? When you first start this journey of getting in shape, you are so used to eating highly palatable, mentally stimulating, dopamine spiking, getting you fucking high every bite, sugar filled processed shit. Okay. Right. And when you start actually eating healthy foods, it's going to taste like cardboard, even though it actually has flavor. You can't taste it yet. And it's not that you can't taste it. What's happening is you're used to hitting this dopamine spike every time you eat. right? And then when you eat something healthy, your dopamine spikes like this big, right? It's basically nothing. So then you automatically associate that with like, this doesn't taste good because you're not getting high. Okay. Now let me back up. Okay. Just in case you guys have never heard me say this before. You got to understand something. The reason why you are addicted to food, okay, is because food companies, let me go over here. Food companies literally spend millions and millions and millions of dollars using scientists. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay. Scientists to create a specific formula of salt, fat, sugar, right? And other refined grains and shit. They're trying to get the perfect formula for certain things. Let's take Oreo cookies, for example, right? Most of you guys have had an Oreo cookie before, right? You had the Oreo cookie. What happened? You got high as fuck. It's like, oh my God, it's so good. Did you dip it in the milk? Oh my God, I'm fucking drooling over myself. Oh, you're literally fucking high. Okay. Because the food companies know how to hack your chemistry. Okay. They spend millions of dollars with scientists to create the proper formula. Okay. Here's your formula to create. Listen to what I'm about to say. Okay. To create what they call in the industry. This is legit what food companies call in the fucking industry. Okay. It's called the bliss level. Okay. Bliss level. Okay. Proper formula to create the bliss level. What does that mean? That means they know they're getting you fucking high. It's literally a drug. Okay. So they create the formula to create the bliss level. Then why are they creating the bliss level? Here's also what they call you too. So when you're hooked on those Oreo cookies or those fucking potato chips or that fucking bread or the pasta or whatever, it's designed to be addictive, to make you what they call in the industry. Listen to this shit. It's going to blow your mind. To make you what they refer to as a heavy user. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? A heavy user. This is their terms in the food industry. Heavy user. Who's a heavy user? Fucking drug addicts, right? Literally, you are a fucking drug addict. And this is why one of the main things that I teach you in the very, very first step in this program is to change your relationship with food, because the food companies, since you were a fucking kid, have literally gotten you addicted. It is literally crack to you. And that is why when you have that one bite, you always lose fucking control. And then you binge for days, weeks, months, fucking decades, right? This is always what happens. Okay. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of carnivore, right? Because it don't happen when you eat carnivore, right? You're not getting any of this shit when you eat carnivore. There's no formula. It's fucking meat and fucking protein. It's protein and fats, right? That's it. There's no like, and when those things trigger hormones that make you feel full. So then you're not even interested in food, because guess what happens when you're full? It's kind of like, think of it like on Thanksgiving Day, right? This is also why I fast too, because when I eat, my meals are so big, I'm fucking stuffed. Can't eat anymore, right? I have zero interest in food because I'm fucking full, right? So it's kind of like on Thanksgiving, right? What happens? You eat so much food, you get so full, you want to throw up, right? You can't even think about having another bite of fucking pie, right? You just fucking like, oh my God, I feel sick. I'm going to throw up, right? So anyways, okay. So just understand this. This is the system that you are in. Since you were a kid, food companies have literally been making you a heavy user. Restaurants know this as well too. They do the same fucking shit. Okay. Now, all right. So back to, this is how I flavor my food the easy way. Okay. Now, if you guys been following how I do like the hacks and shit like that, right? So let's say like, in order to hit 100 grams of protein in a meal, right? You're going to have to eat a lot of shit, right? Like there's a lot of fucking protein you got to eat right here. So usually what I typically do in order to do this, and this is one of my little hacks on high flavor food. Number one, I eat a pound, okay? So pound of beef, right? And then I will actually add this to a pound of shrimp, right? And I actually cook this in a pan on the stove together, okay? Salt, pepper, sometimes garlic powder, right? Usually not, but sometimes I do change it up a little bit, but usually just salt and pepper and sometimes butter. Literally, that's it. And these two flavor each other, right? So that way you basically end up with like a very flavorful fucking high protein meal. Now I do the same thing with like shrimp and bison. I do the same thing with beef and some ahi steak, right? Some little ahi fish steaks, right? You get those at Trader Joe's and you get crazy amount of protein right there. Boom. Right. And then I do the same thing here. And then usually like I'll do like say some eggs. And then I'm a big fan of canned sardines. Okay. So it sounds disgusting, but if you haven't tried that, fry your eggs and then throw in some sardines on top of it, chop it all up, mix it up. It's amazing. Okay. It's amazing. Okay. But that's how I flavor my stuff. And that's typically how I pretty much eat all the time. Like it, because I like to keep it simple, right? Because for one, I don't like to eat things that are going to make me have cravings. And even though these condiments and things I'm about to show you, they're clean, right? They're not going to injure you. They're not going to inflame you. Not going to cause any problems, right? They're still going to taste good to where you're going to likely be chasing, right? Once again, this relationship with food, right? But remember, we want to treat like business. Now, I want you to keep this in mind too. During the majority of your week, like all your deficit days, treat it like business for sure. And I would recommend that you would just be boring, okay? Just like number 3 says, during the week. The day where you could do the more fun stuff, plan that like your refeed day. Right? That'd be the easy way of doing it. Right. And then afterwards, just go right back to your boring shit. Right. And then each week, boom, like that. Right. So, but anyways, so mix and match. Now, here's the other thing too. When I mean by mention mix and match is too. So you don't have to eat the same protein sources every day. Right. I recommend you don't. Okay. You're going to find the ones that you like to eat the most. You know, like I said, like I eat ground beef and shrimp, like and eggs and like ahi, like all the time. Because those are like some of my faves. Right. It's very, very easy to get my protein up and things like that. But I also occasionally I'll throw in some bison. I'll throw in some elk, you know, I'll throw in some mahi. I'll throw in some scallops, you know, I'll change it up here and there, which I recommend that you do. Right. So mix and match. The only thing that matters when it comes to you getting results is just making sure that your macros are on point and then you're limiting your calories every day. So it doesn't matter what protein source you eat. You don't have to eat beef. You don't have to eat shrimp. You don't have to eat the eggs. You got to eat something that is going to get you your macros, right? So if you don't want to eat fucking beef, eat fucking octopus. I don't give a shit, right? As long as you hit your numbers, that's all that matters, right? As long as you limit your calories, that's all that matters, right? So mix and match and then try different things, okay? So try different things, try different combinations of food. Because like I said, I like to mix stuff together. You know, like there's been times where I've thrown like sardines on top of my ground beef. I throw my eggs on top of my shrimp sometimes. I throw my eggs on top of my ground beef sometimes. The fried eggs are usually something that you can like kind of throw on anything and it makes it taste better. Right. So those are just a few ways. Now, when it comes to the condiments that you can use, okay, here's some things that I recommend that are safe that you can use. Okay, let's start off with this one. We're going to start off with some Rao's marinara. Okay, now most marinara is full of sugar. Okay, it's full of sugar, full of trash, right? But Rao's, as of right now, they just got bought out. Okay, so as of right now, they're still safe. Okay, if you look at their ingredients, they're super clean. There's no added sugar to it. See, peeled tomatoes, olive oil, onion, salt, garlic, basil, black pepper, oregano. Boom. Okay, it's perfect. Now, when you use condiments, all right, guess what you got to do? Because they have calories, you got to track that shit. You see, salt and pepper don't have calories, right? You ain't got to worry about it. But when you start adding in some flavor, now you got to measure your shit. Now, because it's half a cup, is 100 calories, right? So that means you add a cup, right? Or you just pour some in there, 2 cups, right? Now you just got 400 extra calories into your day. Okay. Which is primarily coming from the olive oil, right? Which is a fat source, which is totally fine, but no calorie deficit, no fat loss. So you could be overeating your fucking condiments and never lose an ounce of fucking fat. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is one of the reasons why I recommend that you don't do this most of the time, because if you start adding this stuff, you're going to have to start subtracting from your protein sources, right? You're going to start cutting out your meats and shit, right? To make room for this. Okay. So keep that in mind. So Rouse Marinara is one. Okay. That's one of the condiments I recommend. One of my most trusted brands. I've got fucking all kinds of shit from this. I give it to the kids and stuff. I don't use this stuff that often, but my kids do. Okay. Primal Kitchen, as of right now, and I say as of right now because in my experience in this industry, what I found is that a lot of times food companies come out and they hit the market and they're super clean, they're amazing, and then they get bought out by one of these big food companies, right? The ones responsible for creating the bliss level shit, right? And then they start changing the ingredients. As of right now, Primal Kitchen, literally everything that I have seen is amazing. Okay, everything that I have seen from like an ingredients standpoint, right? There's no seed oils, there's no sugar, there's no bullshit in them. They're just straight up good. Okay. And they taste really good, right? So their ketchup is awesome. Their mayo is awesome. We use these whenever we do like deviled eggs and things like that. Sometimes I even occasionally I'll throw the mayo into my eggs, but remember, you got to measure that shit. Cause like each tablespoon is like fucking 100 calories, like tablespoon, like a measuring, it's fucking very calorie dense. Okay. So you got to measure your shit if you're going to play around with this stuff. Okay. So same thing with all these dressings and things. You can put these on there too, but they're all made out of avocado oil. Damn, that's a tongue twister. They're made out of avocado oil, which is totally safe. Okay. But it's like 100, 120 grams or 120 calories per tablespoon. Okay. Shit adds the fuck up fast. Okay. That's why I don't use these personally. Okay. So Primal Kitchen. Okay. You can get this on Amazon, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's. They all carry this stuff, but you can find it for sure on Amazon. They're great. I love Primal Kitchen. They're one of my favorite, like they're the best condiment brand I've come across yet. There's not one on here. But when I go out to sushi, I actually made a video for you guys teaching you guys how to eat sushi the smart way. I haven't put that video together yet, but I've recorded it. But let me show you. There's a Primal Kitchen teriyaki sauce that I bring when I go have sushi. And where is it? There's a Primal Kitchen teriyaki. But this is what I bring. Okay. I go to do sushi, right? And there's this particular way you got to do it, and you got to do it the right way, refeed day only. But there's a teriyaki sauce that we bring that we use. Actually, this isn't even the one. It's a different one that I'm thinking of. It's like a green label or whatever. It's somewhere around here. Okay. Actually, I think it's this one right here. No, it's not that one because it doesn't have honey in it. It's a green label, the one that I have. Anyway, that's what we take to sushi, right? So we don't eat the soy sauce. Okay. Soy sauce is made out of flour, people. Shit'll fuck you up. Okay. It's made out of flour. That's the primary ingredient. It's terrible for you. Okay. So when we go to sushi, we bring our own Primal Kitchen thing. And that's what we dip our little sushi rolls and shit into. Right. And there's only certain rolls that we eat when we go out, because all the other ones are made out of like fake imitation crab and shit, which is also made out of flour and sugar. Right. So there's only certain rolls that we order. There's like 3 or 4 of them that we order. We just order multiples of each. Right. And then we just share it between me and my kids. Right. We do that occasionally, not very often. Okay. Because it's a very, very high calorie day. Right. But anyways, whole nother story, but that's how we do it. Right. We bring our own shit. Right. So these are the recommended things that you can do to flavor your food. So let me give you a little recap because I gotta go train clients. Remember, you got to change your relationship with food. Stop chasing fucking pleasure and treat it like business, right? Then just remember, eat boring the majority of the time, right? Mix and match your protein sources. Remember, you can cook them together to flavor them as well too. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, things like that. And then if you're going to use any condiments, make sure you track it. Use the smart brands. Always read ingredients, even for the things that I recommend it. Always read first, because like I said, sometimes they change, right? Like there was this one brand of pancakes I was talking about with you guys a few weeks ago, teaching you guys like how to do like the refeed day pancakes, right? And they recently changed their fucking ingredients and added a seed oil into it. We have another like these beef patties we used to get from Costco for like 10 years that were amazing beef patties. They're already pre-cooked, charbroiled, already seasoned for you, had no bad ingredients in it. They disappeared for a few months, came back, they had seed oils in them. I'm like, no, man. Oh, why you guys gotta do that? Right? So the main thing is you want to make sure you're not doing anything that's going to trigger cravings. And then you want to consume things that aren't going to trigger inflammation that's going to lead to injuries. That's why we eat clean. Okay. So, but remember, eat boring most of the time, right? But you don't have to eat fucking George Foreman grilled chicken breasts. All right. So, all right. I got to roll. So, I got to go train my clients now. Okay. So I will see you guys.